Welcome to the Home Stagers and Designers on Fire podcast, where we help you attract more ideal clients, up-level your business, make more money, and still have a smokin' hot life. Hosted by best-selling author, coach, and speaker Marianne Cherico, this podcast focuses on business and mindset strategies that enable you to create a life and business by design. Now, let's get fired up.
Do you sometimes feel alone while growing your home staging business? Do you know what you should be doing, but somehow don't seem to gain any traction getting the results that you want? Have you thought about working with a coach, but are afraid that this will put you out of your comfort zone? Well, I'm here to tell you that the investment in coaching is the best thing that you can do for your business. When you work with a coach who has your back, helps you break glass ceilings and achieve your goals, gives you business and mindset strategies that are instrumental to achieving success, it's a game changer. Now, how do I know this? Well, I myself have worked with my own coaches, and it's been a game changer for me. And I see the results that my coaching clients get when we work together. When we work together, you'll have my eyes on your business. So if you're ready to invest in you and would like to know different ways that we might work together, let's talk. You can set up a complimentary discovery session where I will help you clarify your goals. Then we'll uncover the inner and outer challenges that might be stopping you from reaching your goals. Trust me, the inner mindset stories can be tricky, and it helps to have a trained coach help you deal with this. And finally, I will let you know how I can help you bridge that gap between where you are and where you want to go. I offer both group coaching and one-on-one coaching, as well as a 6-session masterclass on getting business from real estate agents. You can sign up for my discovery session in the link on my show notes, or go to my website, www.coachingbymarianne.com. Grant Findlay Shirras is a serial entrepreneur and business strategist who helps creative entrepreneurs start, grow, and scale profitable companies. He's the co-owner of Dekora, a leading staging and interior design company operating in Calgary and Kelowna, where he's increased revenue by 50% and profit by $200,000 in the first year. Before Dekora, Grant built parkbench.com into a $37 million real estate marketing platform serving over 8,000 agents. He also helped grow Fitness on the Go into Canada's largest mobile fitness franchise. Known for his ability to simplify the complex, Grant specializes in financial systems, operations, pricing strategy, and leadership, helping founders turn chaos into clarity and creativity into cash. He's also a national tennis champion, award-winning speaker, and passionate advocate for building businesses that create both freedom and fulfillment. And Grant has previously been on one of my episodes. You should definitely check it out if you haven't listened to it. It's filled with pure gold, and that's episode number 159. And he talks about his purchase of the company Dekora and what he's done with that business since. And I am thrilled to introduce you to Grant Findlay Shirras.
Thank you so much, Marianne. I'm excited to be here.
I'm just glad that you're here. You were so well received, both at RisaCon and the podcast episode that you did was filled with gold. And I really appreciate you coming back.
Well, thank you. I enjoy sharing what I know. It's like paying it forward. The only reason why I know business is because someone else taught me, and then I went and tried a bunch. So you kind of appreciate all the people that kind of gave you free advice in the past. So you want to pay it forward. And then also, I always find talking about it just reestablishes what I should be doing in business. Because now Dekora is going through, if we're talking about stages of business, it was an aging business, and now we're back kind of in the teenager, young adult phase. And I know I need to talk about how to get to the zone of maximization, to prime time. And by me like thinking about it and talking about it actually just helps me with my business. So I enjoy it. for a bunch of reasons. So thank you.
Well, that's good. Then it's a real win-win. Before we start talking about our topic today, which is going to be the stages of business, and having brought up teenage girls, I feel for you. So I did survive. Um, but I would like to talk about something that I was listening to our last podcast episode before we got on, and you talked about working with somebody in Silicon Valley. And I'm just curious because you've built these different businesses like Park Bench, how that changed your mindset. Because you talked about that a little bit, but I'd like to go a little bit deeper
Mm,
into that.
ton. I truly believe that people are products of their environment and the people they surround themselves with. Like the people, show me the 5 people you hang around with the most, and I'll tell you what your life is probably like. Show me the environment you're in, and I'll tell you what your life is probably like. And the reason why Silicon Valley has created so many big companies, big successful companies, is the environment and the people who are in it and the culture and the values of the people within the environment. So when we went there, like, think of us, we were late 20s, I think. Yeah, 2016. So yeah, 28, I think. And Canadian, right? So we're in Canada, and Canada's got a smaller business scene, and the investors don't invest and go for home runs like they do in Silicon Valley. It's way more, hey, why would I risk my money if I can just go make 10% over here in this ETF or stock market or something, or real estate? Even as though it's 5% return, like it's, no risk, right? Canadians are like
Yeah,
that.
right.
And so we got discovered, and they invited us down to the program. It was 500 startups, which is one of the top accelerators. Them, Y Combinator, and Techstars are probably like the top 3 accelerators in the world. And super fortunate that our advisor in Toronto was really successful. And that's why I got him to be my advisor, was he had had lots of success in business and in technology businesses. And he knew the people who ran the program in 500 startups. He referred us. They then looked at our company and said, wow, this company is doing really well. And they invited us down. And so we go down, just hearing about Silicon Valley. Like I had never been there before, didn't know anything. I watched the TV. If you watch the TV show Silicon Valley, anyone ever seen that comedy series? It's exactly like that.
I'm gonna
Like
have to watch it
you
now.
have to watch it. If you're interested in knowing what it's like and having a good laugh, it's
Mhm.
one of my most favorite TV series. It's so funny, and it is exactly what Silicon Valley is like. They make a total parody of it because it really is. It's something else. Like, you go down there, we drove down there, and we got in our first Uber to go to a restaurant. We just arrived. We said, okay, let's go to Uber. Let's go try a restaurant, have a drink. The guy in the Uber car is talking to us about his idea that he is trying to start. And you hear this. You hear this in LA with people trying to become Hollywood superstars.
Yeah, yeah, I was thinking
In
that.
Silicon Valley, it's people trying to build the latest, best billion-dollar app, and they're your Uber driver. And everyone around there is trying to build something. And what I found in Toronto, at least, was very like dog eat dog, shark kind of. Like, they don't want you to be successful because they think that your success actually hurts their success. Where in Silicon
Mhm.
Valley, everyone was willing to help and support and coach and train, and no one believed that your success would impact their success. And the exercise of trying to think through how to help your business grow actually might give me ideas of how to help grow my business. And so we went there, and that was the first thing that we noticed. We went to the program, was everyone was so welcoming and supportive to share all their secrets. And then the other things that stood out to us was they had this one phrase that's well known by one of the investors down there that everyone lives by. And they go, okay, so you have a goal for your business. It's probably like a 5 or 10 year goal. And you're like, yeah, like I hope this one day will be this big. And they're like, great. If you had to get that done in 6 months, what would you do? And you're like, what? Like, how would I build a 10, 100 million, billion in 6 months. They're like, yeah, how would you do it? And just they're so growth oriented where they're asking these questions that get your brain to think. There's this book on this concept called 10x is easier than
I was thinking
2x.
the
I
same
was
thing.
thinking
Great book.
really
Great
great
book.
book, and it totally is true because these doing more of the same might get you to grow 10%, 20%, 30%. And they're like, yeah, we don't want you to do more of the same. We want you to do something different that's going to exponentially grow your business. So we thought through all these different changes we would make, and lo and behold, we grew our business 225% from being in that program year over year. Insane. And we were like, oh my God. So it
Can
totally
we go
worked.
back to that mindset shift? Because I think that's so important. And I know Brooke Castillo from the Life Coach School talks about that. And of course, refers to that book, 10X. Who's it by? Not Darren Hardy, was it?
Dan Hardy. Dan Hardy?
Or Dan,
Darren Hardy? Dan? One of those.
I forget, but I'll I'll
Yeah.
I'll put it in the show notes. But what was cool about that whole 10x thing is that you had to think outside of the box. You couldn't get to where you wanted to get doing the same things that you were doing, to your point. And
Hmm.
so it gets you to think more creatively and bigger. How how did that mindset shift affect the way that you thought about business?
First, you see, like, success breeds success is like another one of our favorite phrases. And it could be as small as, hey, if you are promoting the success of your stages to the other stylists in your company, it just motivates and inspires them to be more successful as a stager and stylist.
Yeah.
If one salesperson is having success, you want the other salespeople around them to know about the success because it just makes them believe that they can have success too. And so then at Silicon Valley, you're seeing companies grow like insane amounts very quickly. So you're like, well, if it's possible for them, it's possible for me because I have lunch with you and like you're just a dude, you're just a regular person. Why can't I do it too? So by being around so many people who are having such big success, both at your level, you're seeing people around you at your level having lots of success, and then you talk to people who worked at Google and Facebook and at the time like Twitter and Uber and Pinterest. This is back in 2016. So they're like, yeah, you guys can do this. I will tell you how we got here. Like, we did not get here by accident. This is how we became a really big tech company. Just apply these principles and you will get there. And one of them, which is one really great question we ask all the time, because in business, there's a lot of business owners, they make money and they come from an employee mindset prior, or their parents weren't entrepreneurs. And so most of us in this world, I think, like, my parents are immigrants, not business people. Like, it's all about saving and not spending. And
Yeah.
so you make money and you're like, cool, I need to save this money. I need to not spend it. And in order to grow a big business, you do have to spend money. And so one of the questions they ask is, how much would you spend to get another customer? Not how, like, and that one little shift, because people are like, I don't want to spend money to get a customer. Let me just try to do it through relationships and referrals. And let me focus on, okay, the cheapest form of advertising, the cheapest form of leads. And they're like, why are you trying to not spend money to get more clients and make your business better? Why don't we think about the most you are able to spend, and then let's figure out how to spend that amount of money to get more clients? And lo and behold, we then said, okay, like, if at the time we were making on an annual basis, I think $6,000. So we said, okay, based on our costs, the most we could spend is like $2,000-$3,000, and we're not really making a whole lot after this because we've got all these other expenses of people and things. They're like, great, that's what we're going to try to spend to get more clients, because you, in this stage of business that we were at in that moment, and this is where we can maybe talk about the stages. You can't do revenue and profit at the same time. You can't grow, and down there, you can't grow users for your platform and profit at the same time. So what is the main thing to do right now? Based on where you're at in business, it may be to not care so much about profit and care about revenue and growth and more customers, more users. And that really warped our brain because I was not accustomed to spending money. I didn't like it. But then as soon as I started seeing success with it, I was like, oh, yeah, that was a limiting belief. This way of thinking is way better for growth. I'm never going to lose this way of thinking. Until you get to a point, which I think businesses need to realize when they're at that point, where you switch. And especially for small businesses, like there are major differences between a tech company in Silicon Valley or just a tech company in general and a staging company. A staging company does need to focus on profit at some point, and it's probably going to be earlier on than a tech company. But there is a point where you don't really focus on profit and you focus on getting more customers and getting more experience and getting more testimonials and getting your portfolio. And then you can switch the gears, and basically when your brand and relationships and case studies are large enough, you can cut the expenses to get that. And you might actually make less revenue, but then you profit way more money because you've now just cut these expenses and stuff like that. And so I've learned, and I still hold to this day, the belief that what are we focused on, revenue or profit? We can only do one. As a small business, like in Dekora, I'm not trying to lose money. I'm trying to break even or just be above profitability while I go grow my revenue. However, there are other times where I'm like, let's stop revenue, let's focus on profit. And that's already happened even this year, where I said that phase that I'm going to focus on spending money to grow might only last 3 to 6 months. And then now it's like, hey, okay, cool. Let's now focus on profit for the next 3 to 6 months. It doesn't have to necessarily be this, multi-year plan. But it is a mindset shift that they teach you. It's like, what's the main goal? Let's only focus on that main thing, keep it the main thing, and everything else will be sacrificed for this main thing. And that's fine.
So, can you drill that down to what revenue versus profit means so that people
Yeah.
understand?
So I'll say for a staging company, you do a stage and the stage is $5,000 you charge, and maybe you break it down to 2,500 of that is the service element, and 2,500 of that is the rental fee for the furniture and accessories and all that stuff you're putting in the house. That would be the gross revenue. $5,000 is the gross revenue of that project. And if you did 100 projects a year, you would now be doing, what is it? $500,000. That would be your revenue for the year. Then let's say in that $2,500 service element of that $5,000 stage, the cost for the movers, the stylists, the assistants, all the expenses of that whole operation, let's say is $1,250 out of the $2,500. So 50% gross margin on that $2,500. Mm-hmm. That would mean your cost of goods sold, the cost for you to deliver the service, would be $1,250 out of $5,000. And so then your gross profit would be, let's do some quick math, $3,750. That would be your gross profit. And that $3,750 is 75% of 5,000. So your gross profit margin is 75% in this example I'm saying. So your revenue is 5,000, your cost of goods sold is $1,250, your gross profit is $3,750, and that means you have a gross profit margin of 75%. And then what happens is when you buy furniture to then rent out, that is not actually an expense on your profit and loss statement. It is an investment in your business that goes on your balance sheet. And what you then see that reduces your profit, which is good because it actually reduces your taxes, is the depreciation of that asset. And your accountants, we should hire accountants and not have to do this all yourself. Your accountants will likely take, let's say you spent $20,000 on furniture, or for easier math, let's say you spent $10,000 on new furniture. Usually they'll apply like a 10-year depreciation schedule. So let's say they applied a 10-year depreciation schedule. That would mean it would be $1,000 a year in depreciation on that $10,000. And so then your 3,750 gross profit is reduced by 1,000. So that, or sorry, I shouldn't say that. That would be for the whole year. But let's keep it simple. 5,000 would be the gross revenue. Then you've got your cost of goods sold, which is usually your labor to execute the stage, and then you got your gross profit. And the thing I was telling everyone at the conference was your goal should be at least 60% gross profit, and I think 75% is actually achievable for stages.
So just so I can wrap my head around this. So you got $5,000, 2,500 is for the furniture.
Mm-hmm. In this example, yeah.
In this example, just for the example, 1,250 is for the labor, basically the cost of goods sold is
Mm-hmm.
what you're calling the labor part. And then 1,250 is the other 1,250 is the profit.
Yeah, yeah. So typically, I like to double the cost of labor in the service fee, because then if I can double that's a 100% markup on my labor, and then I have my rental fee on top of that. It makes it easier to achieve a 60 to 75% gross profit margin,
Okay. And the
which then,
2,500,
yeah.
I'm sorry. How did you figure out the 2,500 for the cost of the furniture rental?
Yeah, so that would be like I have a whole other template I gave out. Happy to share this with your members. So the pricing for staging was something that when we got into it, we saw people doing it in a bunch of different ways. We saw how Dekora used to do it. And I didn't like the way they did it because it was too complicated, too time intensive, and it wasn't even accurate. Like they attempted, and this is one approach, to look at the specific pieces that go in the house, how much those pieces cost, and then assign a rental fee to that piece. Let's say 10% of the value of that piece is now the rental fee for that piece. And then they would figure out all the pieces, add them all up, and then there's my rental fee. Other staging companies, price based on room. They have a much more basic and fast and easy to understand and easy to do, which means you can do it in person in a couple minutes when you're talking to someone and estimating the project, which is what you want to do in sales. You don't want it to take a long time to give someone a quote. You want it to be fast and easy and have some sense to it. And the thing is, yeah, I can't just tell you a home is going to cost $2,500 because how many rooms are we doing? And what's the
Right.
quality of the furniture that's going in these rooms? So our pricing model that we created, which we got from other people, it's not like I made it up. Other companies said, I might have 2 or 3 tiers of quality of furniture,
Mhm.
and then I'll have 2 or 3 tiers of room types, because a living room is much more furniture than a bathroom.
Yes.
And a basement or master bedroom is more than secondary bedrooms. And so the amount of money I'm going to charge per room will vary based on how many rooms are we doing, which rooms are we doing, and what's the quality of furniture. But I created a little Google Sheet template that someone can just put yes, yes, yes to these rooms and this quality, and then it just auto populates a price. And that's how we now get to our rental fees.
I think it, not to interrupt, but I think that that is awesome that you can simplify it that way. But I think that in order to get where you got, people have to know what it costs them. And I think they're assuming that they can randomly just throw out those numbers and they can't. I do know a lot of stagers that use that, percent of cost of acquisition, but eventually it's kind of like charging a flat fee for something. You still have to know how many hours it takes in order to come up with that. So it's, just it's something that you've done the work to get to that place where you know what you're charging for each of these rooms and the different tiers, correct?
So, what we then stress tested it against. So, yes, you do want your rental fee to be probably at least 10%. And if you're able to, 15 to 20%, probably no more
Mhm.
than 20%, but somewhere in that range, your goal is that your rental fee is 10 to 20% of the of the cost of the goods that are in the house.
Mhm.
So we stress test our formula to make sure our rental fee still meets that criteria. We just don't price it based on trying to figure it out exactly because that's too hard and time intensive and onerous and all that stuff. So the way I came up with the numbers for the formula that's now quick and easy to do is so that we end up with a rental fee that is in between that rate. And what we are about to come out with now, because in our market, condos have not been selling, and the Bank of Canada just lowered the rate. So hopefully more buyers are coming into the market, and we know people who own condos need to be selling. So we're actually coming up with a condo package that we know what's going to go in a one bedroom. And so we can pretty much estimate it's going to be between this much in the value. So we are
Mhm.
going to have just a flat fee that we can then promote to the market that still gives us a rental fee that's between 10 and 20% of the value of the goods, but it allows us to go to market saying it's $3,800 for a one bedroom over 1,000 feet, and it's $2,800 for a one bedroom less than 1,000 square feet. If you're interested, let us know. Because when you can give that transparency and clarity and certainty in your marketing, you're more likely to get business from it.
Yeah.
It's very tough to do in staging because sometimes you have no idea what that house is going to be like. And I think condos and potentially some housing types and some markets, you could pre-think through what you're going to put in the home and therefore come out with a flat fee. And if you can, great, do it. And I know some companies in our market will just do houses and they'll straight up just say, like, here's the fee. And I think those companies, they don't provide the most luxurious staging. They kind of just check a box for staging is done, which some
Yeah.
customers want, some realtors want. So they are the value-based brand. And then I think what they do is they work backwards. They go, we're just saying a stage is $2,400 or $3,000 or whatever the number is. And when we get that customer, we are then going to make sure we don't put more than this much of value of goods in the home. So you could
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
backwards. You could work backwards and figure out what to put in a home to keep it within that 10 to 20% range. But for us, as we are the luxury premium brand,
Mhm.
everyone knows us to create like we have won awards, award-winning staging. So for that, our stylists need to go on site. They need to look at the home. They need to come up with a plan. They need to tell the person like, here's the rooms I think we should do. Here's how we're going to do it. This quality, and therefore this is the price. And our new pricing model helps them do it all in one meeting. Our old pricing model had them have to go back and do all this crazy work. And I wanted to get rid of that because time kills deals, and I wanted them to not have to do all that work.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense, and I love that you simplified it, but you did the work to make it so that you could simplify it. You still
Hmm.
know your numbers. It's not like you randomly picked out those numbers, and that's what makes it so effective because you still know you're getting within that 10 and 15% cost of acquisition. Let's talk now about The different phases of business, if you could kind of do a snapshot of each phase. I know we can't go into depth about it unless we want to do a series, Grant.
Yeah, we could go deeper into it if your audience wants, because maybe a certain amount of audience is all in a certain phase. We can go deeper. But I'll go through the chart. So phase number one is your business is born. You're a baby. You just birthed it. It's brand new. And the most important thing that you need to focus on is sales. That's it. You don't even need to buy, and I told real, you don't even need to buy furniture. Like you don't need to buy furniture yet. You don't need a logo. You don't need a brand. You don't need to spend money on anything. Go get customers and then spend the money required to serve those customers. And then the investments you make to serve those customers will help you serve the future customers. But at least you're then buying what's right for the customer in front of you who is paying you, which means you're going to do the best job possible for that person, which means you get good results and reviews and testimonials, which then help you get more customers. Because everything in the beginning is get customers. So that's what I tell people is when you're born, people overspend. They overthink through what has to get done. They think that they have to do what all these big businesses are doing, and you don't need to do any of that. You just need to do sales and manage your cash flow, because that's probably a thing in the beginning is like just start tracking your cash in and out. This is a habit that should never die. I said this at the conference was I still track my cash in and cash out every day. And I learned that in my last business from not do the issues of not doing it. And now I do it and I'll never not do it. No matter how big my business is, I'm always going to track every day to a penny the cash that comes in and the cash that goes out and my current cash position. Everyone that was more successful than me told me to do this. And so I listened, and it when you see it, it just helps you understand the patterns that are happening in your business. Like, how does someone have a good gut to make good decisions, good instincts to make good decisions? It's just pattern recognition and experience. And when you look at the data, your subconscious is storing it so that when this idea for making this expense comes up, your gut will be like yes or no, and it will be smart because you're seeing all the line items of the cash in, cash out on a daily basis.
So how do you do that? Do you have like an Excel spreadsheet which propagates to your credit
Mhm.
cards and your checking account and all that so that you see actually that day what went in and what went
Yep.
out and what your balance is, your
Yeah, it's a simple Excel
yeah.
spreadsheet, and I either I have my VA just fill it out every day, and that's it. Like it's the simplest. I can share with your audience the simplest spreadsheet imaginable. It's just what date was this money going in or out? What was it? How much was it? And what
Yeah.
and what was it like? So it might say, Style Inform, which is a vendor. Okay, why did I spend money here? Was it a staging asset? Was it for furniture for my client, for my design client? Like, what was it? And then you just track those fundamentals on a daily basis, and then at the end of the month, you can then see where you might have overspent, where you could have underspent, opportunities. Like business is constantly, especially at the beginning, people who spend in the wrong places are the ones who fail. Spending money wisely is one of the most important skills that I think people don't teach. And I think maybe a reason why is because every business is slightly different. So the only way you're going to get really good at spending is by looking at everything you're spending.
Love that you say this because I do also think on the other side of the coin that a lot of stagers that are starting their business don't realize that you do have to invest. But you have to invest wisely. You don't just go out and buy a bunch of furniture without really knowing what types of furniture you can use over and over again or what experientially investing as you go with the jobs is not a bad idea. But I think that because they just want to get out there and stage. They don't really realize the math. And the math is so important. And at the same time, you do have to invest in your business. So, but you have to invest strategically for the different levels that you're at in your business.
Mhm. The main line items of a staging business is, your pay, the investments in the furniture, the cost to store that furniture when you're not
Mhm.
using it, which if you can put it in your house or put it in the garage for the first phase of your business, that's the wise. Like if you can not have an expense for rent, that's a wise thing. You should
Yeah.
when you're first getting started out. And if you can, like, you don't need full-time employees. You just need to pay for things as you need it. And the reason, and it's funny, and maybe this is why people invest in furniture opportunistically early on, is because they hear from other staging companies that that's what they do, because it
Yeah.
does change. Once you know what you need for homes and you plan to do 20 more homes this year, 40 more homes, you can then opportunistically go out and buy when you see great opportunities for the things you know you need. But at the beginning,
Mhm.
you don't know.
Right.
So don't worry about it and do what the other station companies don't want to do, which is buy as you need it. But
Yeah,
then
and there's
if
other
you
things you can do too. When I worked with builders, I would purchase items on their behalf and just be paid for the staging and design fee. There's other things you can do. I worked with a furniture rental company and I provided all the accessories. And sometimes it would be a different kind of house, so I'd have to buy different kinds of accessories, but I would store my own accessories. So there's different things you can do at the beginning until you find out what business model you like. You may decide that you don't want to do vacant stages. A
Yeah,
lot of
I was just about
people,
to say that. Yeah.
are
Is you
finding
you
that.
you don't know what's good and you don't know what you like. So
Yeah.
you should try things out. Like unless you
Yeah.
do know, like maybe you do know, and if you do know, fine, go for it and try it on and you may change your mind and that's okay too. But if you don't know, that's okay. Just sell your face off, sell staging, sell occupy, sell vacant, sell consultations, sell accessories, sell rentals, and just see which ones you like to do that you want to do more of because you can niche down later to scale. That's what you want to do later in the business, which brings me to that next phase. So, like when you're just starting out, you just want to sell, then you become like a little child. All right. So you've not died. You're a little bit older and you're running around. You're just super busy because that's what kids do. They just run around constantly and all by themselves. And that becomes the next challenge, which is you can only do so much. You should try to do everything on your own at the beginning, but then there comes a point when you should not. And the mistake that people make is they hire someone without thinking through exactly what are they going to be doing, how are they going to be doing it, what is my definition of done, what is my standards for that person. And that's why I have hired and had to let go or people quit many times because they were not successful. And the reason why they're not successful is because I didn't have the systems and the training and the SOPs in place. So before you end up hiring someone to free up your time, because that is the bottleneck, you are the bottleneck in this phase, create all the training and the SOPs, like write out exactly what you need someone else to do so you can spend more time selling and designing. That's really what the owner should do, selling and designing. And they should have other people do the other things, but create that training first, then go hire them.
I think that it's so much easier nowadays because of ChatGPT. I mean, you can put in your wish list and you can put in the things that you would like that employee to do, and then you can start right. You can even ask ChatGPT, what SOP should I be looking at for a home staging business that does ba 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 ba. So, I mean, it's so much easier than it used to be creating those because let's face it, they're kind of boring, right? Or maybe you
Yeah,
geek out about that. Maybe you like that.
No, it's no one likes making them. The thing that I found with ChatGPT as I'm using it to make the SOPs for Dekora, because that was a big reason that it was not growing, was it lacked all the systems and the training and all that stuff. And here I am, I'm like, I don't even know how to do what you do. And I need to make all these systems. And my team is so busy doing, and they're not like, if they were good at creating it, it would already been created. So they're not even good at creating it. They don't value it. That's why it's not done. But yet it has to get done in order for the company to grow. So I would have to ask my team questions to pull information out of them. Yes, use ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is only as good as what you put in it. And so we've had to really figure out for our business and for this specific role, what am I trying to create? And so I told this other stager, because that's the stage she was at when she talked to me after, and she's like, I need help with my business. And I was like, hey, you need to hire someone, and you need to figure out what to hire for. So I want you to journal. Like, the fastest way to then create a good job role to help you grow your business is to journal everything you do in your week every 15 minutes for 2 weeks. And at the end, be like, what is low value? What is not profit producing activities that I do? What drains me of my energy that I don't like doing? Because there is someone in the world who will love doing this. That's the other beautiful thing, is
Yeah.
that there are people who love every part of a business. You just got to find them. So the things that you hate, someone loves doing. Someone loves doing bookkeeping. Someone loves creating legal documents. Someone loves creating SOPs.
Yeah.
Someone loves managing inventory. Like, so figure out what it is you don't like doing. Because one of the mistakes I made in my last business was I hired and replaced myself even for the things I enjoyed doing. And then you don't enjoy your business anymore. Like, business is a vehicle to feel fulfilled, to enjoy your day and make money for your life. And if
Yeah.
you hire someone to do the thing you enjoy doing, which I and many other people have done before, you'll end up hating your business, even if it's bigger. I had a
Such a good
big,
point.
I had a bigger business that made more money, and I hated it
Yeah.
because I hired someone to do the thing that I actually was like, oh, I want your job. Like, Jesus, why? Like,
And a lot of stagers feel that way because they want to do the hands-on creative, but they don't want to do the bookkeeping. They don't want to do the administrative
Mhm.
stuff.
And that's who you
And
usually hire for it, is that
yeah.
operational admin, fulfillment, moving,
Hmm.
finance, accounting, bookkeeping. Like, you get all that stuff off your plate so that you,
Destaging, there's no
hmm
fulfillment
hmm
really in destaging. And to your point, if you're billing out, I'm just throwing out a number, don't, take this number. I'm just throwing it out for a number. But if you're billing out at $200 an hour and you're paying somebody $25 an hour for that lower value job, like destaging, which doesn't really take any
hmm
brains really. But you're the one who's the rainmaker. You're the one who's the face of your business, getting the business, doing the marketing, leading the team, stuff like that, which are higher value positions. Then it just makes sense that you would be having the lower value positions, have somebody else do it so you can focus on the needle moving activities.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was taught, which I loved, because it helps simplify the decision at every moment, because in that earlier stage where you're doing everything and you need your first hire, you still might not be making that much money. Like, you might be making 50 to 100 grand a year as a
Hmm.
stager. So let's say you're making 50 grand a year in profit. Okay, so that would equate to, on average, in a 40-hour work week, and we all know you probably work more than 40 hours, but on average, that would equate to about $25 an hour.
Hmm.
So you are, in essence, in that moment, making $25 an hour if you're making 50 grand a year.
Right, right.
So who do you hire because you're only making $25 an hour? Well, there might be some administrative duties on the computer probably, that you could find someone in another part of the world
Yeah.
to do for 25% of your hourly rate. So I tell people, figure out your hourly rate. So if you're making 50 grand a year, call it $25 an hour. Try to find the jobs that someone will do for $6 to $8 an hour. That's a good trade. You're getting someone to get something done for $6 to $8 an hour while you're making $25 an hour. Then, and that will be a limited number of jobs, but it will inch your business forward because it will buy
Yeah.
back your time and it'll help you focus more on sales so you can make 100 grand the next year. Then when you're making 100 grand, now your per hour is $50 an hour. So
Mhm.
25% of $50 an hour is
Fifty.
$12.50. $12, yeah, so $12.50. So now, how many people in the world will do what other tasks do you have going on that someone will do for $12 an hour? Now I can
And
hire a few more.
just so I just want to inject in here for people that think, oh my gosh, how could I possibly pay somebody that little? People in places like the Philippines, to them, because of the cost of living, it's a lot more money than it is here. So you have to
Hmm.
look at it with that
Hmm.
perspective. What they get paid because their cost of living is so much smaller is
Hmm.
commensurate. So because I used to think, oh my gosh, how could you pay somebody that little? Well, that's why,
A lot
and
of
that's
money to
why
people in other parts of the
people,
world. And I'll
exactly.
and I'll give this story from my last company because this was a real mind warper for me. So we had a sales team. So we had started to outsource some tasks, and another one was, booking sales appointments. And we had a whole team of Canadians who I was paying $40,000, $50,000 a year. They're fresh out of, college typically to do this job. And in Canada, making $40,000 a year is not a lot of money. It's like not an end point. So people are in and out of this job. It's very transitionary. They always still complain about how much they're making. Young people always want to make more. And I was like, but it's sales. Like, surely I can't outsource this. Someone came to me and was like, yeah, you can. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna try. And so then I found people in Mexico to do the sales job for half the price. And I was thinking, well, all right, well, great. They're super pumped to me making $20,000 a year in Mexico. And I'm going, okay, it's great. I have some people doing this job. They're probably not going to be as good as my Canadian people. So, yes, I'm paying less, but their performance may only be like 75% of the Canadians. Okay, fine. But that's fine. The numbers still work. Let me just go do this. The Mexican team outperformed the Canadian team every
Wow.
single month. And then I switched everyone
Wow.
over. And the reason is because they really are grateful and appreciative of the opportunity to make whatever, $8 to $15 an hour. And
Wow.
therefore, anyone who's grateful and appreciative of their job works harder, works smarter, works better because they don't want to lose it. And sometimes when you hire someone who's young, they're not grateful and appreciative of the job you're giving them, even though you're paying them more
True.
money.
I
And
know.
when I think about hiring, it's my new benchmark that every single person I hire, I have to feel, and this is a feeling that I get in the interview, and I can look at their resume to get a sense of this is true or not. Is this a step up for them? Are they grateful and appreciative of this job that I'm hiring them for? If they are, they're more likely to be successful. If it's a lateral move or a down move, no chance. Like that thought is going to linger in their subconscious and they're not going to be as good.
I love that. I love that. Will you come back? Because what I want to do is I want to finish up with the young adult and then maybe talk about the next three phases next time. Can we do that?
Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because this is such good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to leave. I could leave a cliffhanger because I
Okay,
could
leave a
say,
cliffhanger. Yes.
yeah. So we got through two phases so far because it's important to understand what phase you're in, what the mistakes are in the phase, and how to be in the phase. So here's a summary of all the phases. You're a baby, you're born. You're a child. Then you become a teenager. Then you become a young adult. And then you're in your prime. And the goal is to be in your prime for as long as possible. And there are certain things a business owner should do when they're in their prime that they might be counterintuitive to do, which I made the mistake of not doing because it's counterintuitive. So I didn't think to do it. And therefore, I then went into midlife crisis where my business started to
Too young.
age. My business went into midlife crisis, even though I hadn't maybe yet as a person. Then it started to get out of prime and start to age and die and get smaller and wither and have issues, of which I've learned how to get back to prime. But I've also learned from other businesses how if you don't take certain actions, your business can die. Like no matter how big, there's so many stories in this world, and I've had my own, no matter how great your business is, it can die. And we got to learn how to prevent that. And so I fortunately have gone through all the phases, including having a business die. So I at least can see the signs, and I can, right? Because if you don't know what you don't know, and you can't see what you've never seen before. So I fortunately know that, even though it was an unfortunate thing to happen, but at least now I know, so it probably won't happen to me again. And so I enjoy teaching this to people because there are some things I wasn't taught, and that's why I ended up experiencing that I hope to share with people because it totally sucks. And hopefully next time we can go through how to get into your prime, how to go through teenager, young adult, get to your prime, how to stay there, what to do there, and if your business is falling, how to get it back and make sure it doesn't die.
So good. So good. I mean, I'm sorry, because I have you off on all these different tangents and stuff because you're just such a plethora of information and just, the whole Silicon Valley thing. I'm just so blown away. I think that's so cool. So yeah, let's leave it that cliffhanger that you're going to go through the other phases in the next episode. This episode has been so jam-packed with good stuff. So I appreciate you so, so much.
No, my pleasure. I enjoy talking about it. And because again, Dekora was good on the business owner. His business was aging. He sold it. And that's sometimes what you do when you're in that phase. You sell it to someone who can bring it back up because he just wasn't in the state mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually to bring it back up into prime. And so then I took over this business and I was like, wow, there's all these things that a toddler business should have done, like SOPs, and it's not done yet. There's all these things that a teenager should do, like increase its prices, wasn't done yet. There's all these things that a young adult needs to do, which is formalize things and hire great people and make that investment so that you can get into prime. So I'm going through it right now. And so talking about it just reminds me of what's important to do to be successful because I'm in it.
I can tell you love it.
I love it.
I can tell you just love it.
The sport of business is the most fun sport to play. You can play it for the rest of your life. And that's what I intend to do.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom. Really, really appreciate you.
Awesome. Pleasure to be on, Marianne.
This episode of the Homestagers and Designers on Fire podcast has ended. Be sure to subscribe for more strategies on how to attract your ideal clients, up-level your business, make more money, and still have a smokin' hot life. And don't forget to review this show so that we can continue to bring you top-notch content. See you on the next episode.